Welcome back, viewers. You're watching the Tarnia Green Show on Digicel Play TV, Channel 3. As you know by now, the Commonwealth of Dominica, the nature island of the Caribbean, not to be confused with the Dominican Republic, has been branded as one of the preferred destinations in the Caribbean for its many natural attributes. A land blessed with an abundance of natural beauty, tall mountains, a river for every day of the year, a plethora of flora and fauna, and the world's most friendly people. For years, tremendous efforts has been placed on enhancing the island's tourism product with the goal of making it a world-class product. As a destination, we have made some progress, and today, cruise tourism is a major component of Dominica's growing tourism sector. To talk to us some more about how significant the cruise sector is to Dominica is Minister responsible for tourism in Dominica, Senator the Honorable Robert Tong. Welcome to the Tarnia Green Show. It's such a pleasure to have you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me in your show, Tanya.
You're welcome. You're most welcome. Now we're talking tourism.
Indeed.
But on today's show, we are specifically talking about cruise tourism and the impact that it is having on Dominica.
Yes.
When we think of cruise tourism, where are we? Okay.
To set the groundwork, cruise tourism accounts for 15 to 20% of the GDP with regards to the contribution to the economy. So therefore, it is one of the major contributors. However, the main one is really the stay over, where the tourists are here for a much longer period of time, and thus they spend a lot more. But however, every aspect is important in terms of coming up with the best, the most important contribution to our economy. So we see everything as being important, and as a result we have to move forward as best as possible to give the customers or the visitors the best experience that they receive in Dominica. So in terms of Dominica, we are not exactly where we have liked to be. In 2009 we had the Carnival Cruise Lines, which was here, which also came through the summer period, which contributed significantly to the number of people coming to Dominica. So back then our numbers, I think, was about 530,000 people per year. Right now we're up to about 260,000 people per year. So we are growing. So compared to 2013, we have grown by 24% over the last year. So we are moving forward. Obviously, maybe we need to do a bit more advocacy so people are aware of what we're doing and what our numbers are. But I think we are doing a pretty good job. I'm sure we can do a lot better.
When we compare to, you know, the cruise industry to other Caribbean countries, how are we doing?
I'm going to have to go to my notes for that.
Sure.
So take for example, in terms of St. Lucia grew by 8%, Antigua and Barbuda -2%, Dominica, as I said, 24%, Grenada 19%. I think the country has maybe done better than us is St. Kitts. I don't actually have their numbers right now, but as you can see, we are doing pretty well. But if we put all of the different things in place, we can do a lot better.
Now, the cruise sector has been somewhat beneficial to a wide cross-section of stakeholders in the country. When cruise ships come to the island, it's not just a matter of the tour operators and the vendors, the bus drivers benefiting from the cruise coming to Dominica. Let's speak to some of the broader people who benefit from cruise tourism.
To put it in perspective, back in 2009, as I mentioned, which was our peak years, the contribution to our economy from the cruise was about $17 million. Right now we're down to about $7 million, but we are beginning to we're continuing to grow. So there is hope. We've had the first call of Carnival Cruise Lines this year. We have 9 or 7 calls for next year, and we're doing all in our power to address the issues that are there to ensure that more cruise ships come to Dominica. So last year, I think the contribution was about, as I said, $7 million. It is significant, but obviously way down from what it used to be. But as you can see, everyone basically benefits as a result of that. You and I may not directly benefit, but the taxi driver has someone who's going to shop in your store. That person is going to have a job. So obviously, everybody is affected and impacted by the monies that are spent in Dominica.
Let's talk about the dollar value. The spend. The spend.
Yes. So again, that is also an area where we need to do more. So the average person spends, I think, 50 US when they come to Dominica, and that includes the tours. So we want them to spend a lot more. So we have to do a lot more. So take, for example, our tours. We have to improve on our tours. Our the artifacts, the craft, the craft that we sell. It has to be more upscale, so the people are spending more money in Dominica. So if you put it in perspective, in Dominica they're spending 50, whereas in other territories they may be spending as much as 70 or 100 US. So that's another easy area to fix that. I mean, we also have to be innovative. Can we get the vendors to have their own point of sale machines or use their cell phones to process credit cards, so that way the person spends more money than having to walk into the bank and change his dollars?
Has that been known to be an issue?
It is an issue. I mean, you and I know it's an issue. So take, for example, someone who comes here has to go to the bank, go in the line. The banks are known for having very long lines, maybe spend an hour there, then come out and then have to shop. The other issue that we have is that the craft, most of it is the same. You come to the cruise ship, you see the same craft. You go to the gardens, you see the same craft. You go to the Morn, and I'm talking about the same tour that goes to the falls. So you've gone, by the time you get to your final destination, you've seen all of these items 4 times. In addition to that, you've seen them in the other countries. So we need to ensure that our artifact, our craft is a bit more unique, and they have a great quality, so that the persons can spend more money in Dominica.
How can we do that? How can we improve that? Have we made any advancements towards maybe the Kalinago people, to have them, increase the number of products that they produce for the industry?
I am not sure that has been done. However, the plan going forward is to ensure that we improve on it, to try to get more of the Carib craft into the baskets or of the vendors, to ensure that we put programs to train the vendors so that they can produce better craft, or have producers of local innovative craft, to teach the vendors how to sell, to teach them how to do better customer service. Because if you go to a vendor and you see how they approach the tourists, it is not the ideal. So if we can help them, then the country benefits at the end. So we will be putting together training programs to help all the various stakeholders, not just the vendors, the taxi men, the restaurants, the bars, in terms of selling, because a lot of the people who come off the ship, they buy food and beverages, are also another high area in terms of their spend. So we also have to improve on all of these things.
Mm-hmm. We want to always present a full package to the visitor,
yes,
when he comes. And I know over the years the government has placed focus on improving the infrastructure to allow the cruise ships to be able to dock comfortably on
yes,
our island ports. Talk to us about some of the other initiatives that we are planning to take on.
Well, think of it this way. Someone comes here to have a great time. So from the time they hit land, you want them to have that wonderful experience. So in Dominica, we had the bayfront. Once they come to the museum building, they should go through. There should be a great cultural activities going on, just to explain to them what Dominica is all about. In addition to that, explain to them about the different areas and different sites that we have. That in itself, someone who does not want to go on a tour, if you can sell them, they may want to go on a tour, thus increasing the spend. When they go to the sites, it has to be a great site. There has to be a beautiful story about every single site, so there has to be proper tour. So again, that's where the training comes in, to teach them about the flora, the fauna, and all the history about the various areas, so that the customer the tourist has a great experience. To improve on some of them, so take for example, you go to the Trafalgar Falls, you come back for the same route. Can there be an additional route to reduce the congestion at the sites? So these are some of the things that the tourists have complained about. For me, very important is getting the feedback from the cruise ships in terms of what are the issues and trying to fix them as quickly as possible. So the overcrowding at sites may be one of them. The quality of the buses might be one of them. Vagrancy will be one of them. Garbage disposal is one of them. And in our plan, all of these things will be addressed to see how we can have some small wins initially, and then also some bigger sustainable plans to get to deal with them.
The issue of duty-free shopping, the availability of duty-free shops on the island, is that a concern for us?
I would say it is a concern. Duty-free is an opportunity again for us to sell more. How many duty-free shops are there in Dominica? I think there are 4 or 5 compared to many other islands. Obviously, I have a different view of things sometimes. When was the last time you bought a watch in Dominica? When was the last time you bought jewelry in Dominica? When was the last time you bought a camera in Dominica? When was the last time you bought a phone in Dominica? If you did a survey, most people don't buy these things here. Can you create some type of incentive for us to buy more of it here? Can we create an incentive for us so that we are also known for being not just for the nature, but we can also be known for a shopping area. So all of these things will help improve the spend in the country, and that's what's most important. You want to increase the amount of money that remains in the country, which can be used to develop the country.
Would you give us, an idea of what happens when the ship docks in port? What is the process? Is it mandatory that the visitors come off the ship?
No, basically the ship, tour operators are going to sell their tours to the ship. And then before the ship arrives in Dominica, they have their screens and they're going to promote the various tours. So hopefully you decide which tours that you want to go on. Obviously the ship wants to sell as many tours as possible. So we also have to ensure that the information that we give to them is accurate. The footage that we give them is beautiful and will entice someone to want to step off and do the tours. And even if they're not doing the tours, they want to walk around the town, and hopefully if you're walking around the town, you're going to see things that you want to buy, or you're going to see places you want to go to, and obviously you will spend some more money. So it's not mandatory, but again, the ship makes money by you getting off the boat and taking the organized tours. And that is why we also have what we call the priority, well, we call it the premium access. We're looking forward to changing that from premium access to priority access. Priority access basically means that the organized tours will have priority at Trafalgar, they have priority at the Emerald Pool for a certain period of time. So let's say from 8 to 10, they will have priority. What happens to ensure that the site is not overloaded? 50% goes to one, 50% goes to the other, and then let's say at 12 o'clock they will shift. So what that does now, it allows the ships to have a priority access between 8 and 10, and then 12 and 2. And in between, the private tours now have the opportunity to go to the site and have the tourists see the sites. The country makes money because you get more passes. The vendors also make more money. So we're looking at implementing all of these things hopefully by next year, so that there's hope for everyone and that the country actually makes more money.
You mentioned passes, and we effected that a few years ago to ensure that we get returns, financial returns, revenue from the tourist activity on the island. How are we doing? The prices that we charge the tourists to visit the different sites?
Well, that is very cheap if I remember correctly. Basically, an organized tour pays $3 US per head, and if it's not an organized tour, it's $5 per head. But again, one of the difficulties we saw at the Trafalgar Falls is that because no one could access the site between 8 and 12, they went to other sites, or they would allow the customers to see the falls all the way from the village. Obviously, that doesn't sell a great package. Just imagine that 2 people went on a tour. One went on an organized tour, one went on a private tour. One saw the waterfall up front, they saw the mist and everything, whereas one saw it from 5 miles away. Just imagine when they ask to the visitor review what score you're going to get. And the cruise ship, that's very important for them. After everyone goes on the ship, they try to get at least 10% of those who have gone on tours to complete the forms, which will give an idea as to how the country have done. We want to get the best possible score when it comes to that. So if we can get the information back from the cruise ship on a regular basis, our intention is to ensure that we put measures in place to get a better score.
We are continuing our negotiations with cruise lines, major cruise lines like Carnival, to entice them, encourage them to do business with Dominica.
Yes.
Yes. Any new prospects?
Well, for now, the only prospect that I'm aware of, and I can basically talk about, is what I talked about in terms of Carnival, whereby they are slowly coming back, and we'll be doing all in our power to get more of them to come back, especially during the summertime. However, the summer month is a challenge because most of the cruise ships then go to the European areas where they can make a lot more profits.
Yes.
Maybe we have to offer the cruise ships a better package as a country, but not only as a country, but even as individual companies. So if the government is going to give a discount on, let's say, the water rates, the port rates, we'd also want to engage the stakeholders so they can also maybe give some type of discount on the tour packages. That way the cruise ship sees that, hey, it's going to be in our benefit to come here. So I think if we can all work together, we should be able to get a lot more cruise ships coming to Dominica. The future is that we need to enhance. Obviously, the Bayfront is not the best location because there's a lot of congestion.
Yes.
So the way forward is to have a cruise village where it is a separate facility that can take care of the cruise ships, can take care of the ferry terminal, so that people have a much better experience.
Mm-hmm. I know most of the largest cruise ships dock at Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard.
Yes.
Any activity taking place in Portsmouth?
In Portsmouth, towards the beginning of the year, I think there were 1 or 2 cruise ships that went there, but again, we have to do more to entice all of them to come to all the different areas. And again, once you can increase the numbers, hopefully they won't be able to dock in Rosa, so therefore we can push them to go to Portsmouth and all the other areas that we have, so that everybody gets a chance to make as much money. So community tourism is important for the ministry, whereby you can have money being spent in the various areas so that the communities can also benefit. It shouldn't just be one area.
So you're optimistic about, cruise tourism in Dominica?
Tanya, my glass is always half full. It's not half empty. And based on the interaction with all the stakeholders, that's another thing that's important for the ministry, is to engage the stakeholders to see what's best, and then to implement plans to make it work. So I am very optimistic, and it seems that the stakeholders are also optimistic. They expect a lot from us, and the important thing is to begin to deliver.
Excellent. The important thing is to begin to deliver. The words of Senator Honorable Robert Tong, Minister of Tourism and Urban Renewal in Dominica. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. When we come back, Dominica welcomes the MV Carnival Triumph to its shores. We will tell you how this was received by stakeholders, and we will bring you the reaction of the visiting tourists to the nature island. That's up next when the Tarnia Green Show returns.
I'm not afraid, no, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, no, and I'm holding on to my soul, wanna